Hey everybody, Mike Manna here for this week's 62 Who Knew podcast. So excited about today's guest. I know I say that all the time because, well, I bring on exciting people. But this guest is one of my favorite people. And I just appeared on her podcast, which I'm so excited about. It's always fun to do that. But let me give you this young lady's bio because it's far beyond her years, and she's just all around good people. And I know the 62 Who Knew audience is going to fall in love with her. So Lindsay Friedman is the founder of CareBloom and LTCCareNav.com, innovative platforms dedicated to helping families navigate the often overwhelming world of aging, long-term care, and caregiving support. And it is overwhelming, there's no doubt. With a deep passion for improving the quality of life for older adults and those who care for them, Lindsay has built her career at the intersection of health advocacy, long-term care planning, and family empowerment. Very strong family values. That's what makes her perfect for us. Through her work, Lindsay provides individual caregivers, professionals with trusted guidance, education, and practical tools to make informed decisions about care options, aging in place, long-term care resources. Her mission is rooted in the belief that families deserve clarity, clarification, confidence, and compassion when facing life's most care transitions. As a respected voice in the national caregiving community, Lindsay is known for her ability to simplify complex care challenges while delivering solutions that are actionable and deeply human. And let's let the crowd go wild for our newest member and our newest national sponsor, Ms. Lindsay Friedman. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I was really excited to do this with you today.
Well, you bring it, you're like a shining light, when you do things. We've talked on Zoom several times, and you light up a room, not just with your personality, but with your compassion to do what you do. And which always leads me to my first question. Everybody's younger than me, but what brings a person in your age bracket into the long-term care world, which is really for older people? I mean, I'm personal friends with some of the best long-term care insurance professionals in the country, and they're all my age. Okay. So a lot of times it's something personal, but what brought you to this passion? What brought you to today?
So my passion for elder care started probably younger than most people. I went into being a nursing assistant in memory care when I was 18 years old.
Just a few years ago.
Not really, but I know you keep saying that to me. But that was actually, I had always had a fond spot for seniors. You know how like some people go crazy for babies? Seniors, I really just loved the life that they had lived, learning about it, just everything about it. I really respect aging and wanted to be part of bettering that experience for people. So I went into taking care of elders right out of high school.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So it was a calling, because that is a calling.
Yes. And it still is. Like it is truly the thing that brings me the most joy, where I find even the most rewarding experience. Like even yesterday, I took a Holocaust survivor. You know, you and I have spoken about that kind of. My grandmother was a Holocaust survivor. She's passed, but I am even still fortunate enough to today that I actually go and take them so they have the opportunity to share their stories. And it's like the most meaningful thing for me to be able to do that for them.
That's a very special thing for many people, especially Jewish people like us. Very, very special thing. And there's not that many Holocaust survivors left. I won't even guess at how many, but it's a very small number. I know we have less than 20,000 greatest generation people left in America. You know, those are people that are probably between 95 and 105 right now. So there's very few left. And at the rate that we're losing them, the greatest generation will be gone soon. And many young people, Anthony's heard me say this in all sorts of podcasts with all sorts of guests. So many, maybe not just the last generation, but maybe two of the last generations don't realize that the greatest generation is not a nickname. they were and always will be the greatest generation. And we can talk about that maybe some other time because I want us to concentrate on your goals. But they really and truly were, and they're never going to be replaced. So that's an incredible passion. And again, bringing us back to today, I think one of the reasons why 13 months ago, in January of 2025, I think we had 128 views, and thanks to our award-winning podcast development company and production company and great guests, we're now averaging a little more than 21,000 views. But the premise of 62 Who Knew is longer lifespans is a double-edged sword. In fact, a few of my people that I trust in a lot with my marketing have said, Michael, you may need to take it to the next step, which is, it's not just a double-edged sword, but that longer lifespans is America's greatest blessing, and at the same time, its greatest curse. Because as you well know, the great majority of America, I won't say isn't prepared for it, they're woefully unprepared for it.
That is absolutely the case, and it is going to impact us profoundly, both as the care ecosystem and families. And the care ecosystem realizes this is coming, right? There's no good answer is what I've really seen when it comes to providers. Nobody has been able to say this is the solution for what's to come. And families, I just don't think in general understand that living to 95 was not part of how this long-term care ecosystem was designed. That
That's
is
right.
why we're talking more about it now, because we're starting to see the impact that it's creating on our society. And the families who are prepared, the families who have a really good plan in place, they're the ones that are going to weather this storm better than those who don't.
And not only weather it, quite frankly, if they are educated by people like yourself, not just weather it, but spend the last 2 or 3 decades of their life with a high quality of life, not just existing. And again, what always astounds me, because we've had doctors and scientists on the show, is that the reason we're living to be 90 or 95 so often now, how it's becoming common, is because of the medical breakthroughs, scientific technologies of the last several decades. And I know for a fact, I know some people know it, not everybody, but this, I don't know if you agree with this, but what's coming down the road in the next 2 decades makes the last 30 years look like Fred and Wilma Flintstone. That's what's coming down the road, curing for heart disease, cancers, Alzheimer's. Your children or daughter, is going to be playing whatever she likes to play, tennis or pickleball or whatever, at 100 years old, healthy. Your grandchildren, my grandchildren, might be doing that at 100 or 110. And that creates a ridiculously new plethora of problems. You're not getting ready for old age. You're getting ready for a whole new part of life, a new stage. And that's not like our fathers and grandfathers and grandparents.
No, and I think there is going to be a shift on what does retirement look like? Because if you're playing pickleball at 95, right, that's not even long-term care. That's still like I'm living my life and it's costing me money every day.
That's right.
And so we have to prepare for that, right? That's one piece of it, is how long can my retirement take me? And I think the piece of it that even retirement planners seem to overlook is once that deterioration happens, right? And I can't play pickleball and I need help taking a shower and I need help doing all of those things. That's a whole other aspect that happens
Yes.
later in life. And that is where the costs compound so quickly.
Yes.
And that is where I think a lot of planners have to really start to focus, especially with the longevity, is what does care cost when you only need help with medication reminders? And then what does it cost when you've upgraded to I just need help in the shower to I need supervision 24 hours? Like, what do those kind of trajectory look like? And those really need to be part of the plan.
And that first part that you mentioned, I need help with my medicine, is X, but that last one, and there's many stages in between,
Mhm.
I need help 24/7. That's not 10 times X. That could be 100 times X. And so, yeah, the two words that I hear constantly when I'm on other podcasts, and I try to learn from people smarter than me, of which many people are, the two words everybody on the tip of everybody's tongue is affordability and longevity. And then if I guess I had to pick up three other words that should be and are on the tip of every financial planner's tongue, it's aging in place. I've used this example many times. And if anything good came out of COVID, which that's weird to say, but if anything good did come out of COVID, it did prove to the country that the elderly, because most of the million people that passed away were elderly, and there's no doubt about that. I mean, when I say most, probably 75%. But the great majority of that 75%, they were in homes. They were in facilities. And I always say this because I'm not casting dispersions. When COVID first happened, they locked the doors. We want to protect the seniors from those outside germs. And what they really did, and again, I don't blame them, hindsight's 2020, they created a petri dish and they all started dying. I have friends that lost moms, dads, and grandparents and said goodbye through a glass window because they couldn't get in. But the grandparents that had long-term care insurance, they bought 20 years earlier, that were living at home with in-home care, they're still with us today. So I have to say, if COVID gave any message, it was you don't want to be in the home. You want to age in your home. You want to age in place.
And I do think that's everybody's goals. And I think there's a lot of options. It takes more financial planning, really, to do that because it gets more expensive. And I would actually say when it came to that time in assisted livings during COVID, I would think loneliness actually contributed to a lot of the losses as well.
Mm-hmm.
So while it becomes sort of a petri dish and in their minds they were keeping everyone safe and healthy, think that lack of family, that lack of communication with
Yes.
them also plays into it because there's also lack of verification of care. Like you don't know if your mom's being cared for and you don't know what that new ecosystem inside of this COVID situation looks like. So I think there was a lot of stuff going on in there that you're right. If something like that happens again, where do you know mom is safe? In her home.
Well,
Where
your
can you
home.
keep
Yeah.
in your
Yeah.
home, right?
Yeah.
And really having a good plan around that is what makes those kind of things possible.
No, it's absolutely true. And I want to stay on target, on topic, and I have a tend to go off topics, but I don't think the country has seen the full ramifications of COVID yet. We're still feeling it economically, but we have a generation, or maybe less than a generation, but at least 18 months of young children that started kindergarten and first grade. And there's all sorts of studies out now that because they were wearing a mask, and I'm glad they were wearing a mask, but you didn't see their smiles. You didn't see their teachers smile and look of approval when they did a nice project. You didn't see mom and dad smile while you were watching TV. I think there's a lot that those kids are going to deal with. There was a lack of social networking. I don't mean on the computer, but being out with your friends. I don't think we've seen the full ramifications socially of what COVID did to this country.
I think that is something I'm definitely not an expert in, but I have a teenager and watching some of their interactions has to be as a direct result of COVID because it's stuff that I never experienced when I was younger. It's things that don't make quite sense to me. Their way of interacting is far more online and not having conversations. Like she liked a boy, right? When you remember when you liked a girl or liked a boy when you were young and you would
Yeah.
talk to them? She's like, I Snapchatted him a picture of a wall. I was like, what? And she's like, yeah,
Why? Are you embarrassing Lily now?
I
You
am.
said I
I am
shouldn't
totally.
embarrass you. Are you doing this to her?
She's
What are you
not
doing,
watching
Mom?
this.
She's not going to
I'm
watch this?
I'm totally, but they're all doing it. So I'm embarrassing
Okay.
all teenagers. Yeah. So
Okay.
this is the dynamic that I'm watching unfold. And so it
Why a
is.
wall? I want to know now. Get her on. Is she home?
Should I get her on and be like, why? Well,
Well, yeah. Well, why did she send the guy a wall?
I have no idea. So this is where I'm
I want to
saying I don't
know.
understand the communication, but it's not her. That's her friends are
Yeah.
like I sent a wall. I sent my, like, actually sending your face. There's like stages that we never experienced because they're so used to not having a conversation.
No, there's a lot of things I didn't experience. I mean, God, when I was in kindergarten, I had an abacus. There's kids that don't even know what an abacus is. We did beads, and 2 + 2. These kids, just get on the phone and unlock the secrets of the universe. It's just staggering what the difference between the generations. But there's no doubt, with or without COVID, social networking has curbed our younger generation's social capabilities. My mother would call it, I hate to say it, common decency. It's not there because you don't have to have it when you're sending somebody a picture of a wall or something like that. And it's also, I think, very different to get mad at somebody on a text than it is face to face. Everybody's real gutsy on a text.
Yeah,
Not so gutsy when you're face to face.
telephone tough guys. Yeah.
Yeah, telephone tough guys.
Definitely seen a lot of that in our text message thread. So the world is changing, and it will be interesting to see what happens to these teenagers now, especially when we bring it back when they're older, or even if we take it sooner. Like these are the kids that are going to become our caregivers, our family caregivers as we age.
We're in trouble.
Right. And what does that look like in the fact that the common decency kind of, caregiving really requires giving of yourself. And I feel like this generation might be a little more selfish, and that'll make it interesting as we age, like your grandchildren taking care of your children, right?
Yeah. No, I can see it. You're going to be in your 80s and you're going to ask your daughter for some medicine and she's going to send you a picture of a wall. And you're going to go, what's up with that? When it's my medicine in the wall? What's the biggest threat to your retirement savings? It's not the stock market. It's the cost of long-term care. Home care, assisted living, or nursing facilities can drain your life savings in just a few years. That's why long-term care insurance isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. It protects your assets, preserves your independence, and gives your family peace of mind. Don't leave your future to chance. Visit 62whoknew.com and start planning the retirement you deserve. For millions of Americans, the greatest asset they own is their home. Yet most of that equity sits locked away, unused. What if there was a way to unlock your home's value without debt, without interest, and without monthly payments? Introducing Chiefs, converting home equity into financial success. A revolutionary strategy that lets you turn a small piece of your home's equity into cash you can use today to protect your retirement tomorrow. Visit 62whoknew.com to learn how Chiefs can fund long-term care, annuities, life insurance, or lifestyle goals. Let's talk about what you do, because what you do is incredible. Everybody I bring on, and rightfully so, has a service or a product, and obviously www.62whoknew brings long-term care insurance and annuities and all sorts and REMAX across the world. Yes, we perform, we educate, and then we offer services and goods. What's staggering about what you do, and I've looked at your questionnaire and your plan, got some of the answers for me actually scared me a little because I was giving honest answers. You create a plan for people, a long-term, extensive long-term care plan for free. Now we're going to be stressing that big time, award-winning producer Anthony, on the website. I mean, for free. And that kind of takes the salesmanship, the self-serving part, that just screams credibility. I want to do this. You can have it. I asked you the first time we met, are you licensed to sell long-term care insurance? Your answer was?
No.
No. Do you sell annuities?
No.
No.
I don't sell anything. I match you with the people who do.
Yeah.
And those are the folks who pay to keep LT Care Nav alive, right? They make it so I am able to offer this free to families. And it's really important to me because there's a lot of people, like the person who's selling long-term care insurance, like home care, that need to be paid. And I really want to help families make the best decisions, and was lucky enough to find a model that works where I can make it free.
Well, and by making it free, I think you take out all of the conflict, the everything. It's just 100% credibility. You're making suggestions that are best for them. Not best for your living, not best for your W-2 form or your career, quite frankly, simply best for them. And we're going to be so happy, when people look at this, episode, and you will have a very prominent place on our website, and they'll be able to, what do you call that, sir? I'm sorry, just went blank. The long-term care plan.
So we actually just call it creating a long-term care plan. So from your site, people
Okay.
will actually be able to come and create a long-term care plan, and they'll be able to use the same free resource. And I'm so glad we met. I think it's a really beautiful thing that you and I have, and we're going to be able to really help people
Yeah.
on both our ends.
And I can't stress enough to our viewers. I want all 5,000 people that are watching this show, maybe 10,000 at this point, to go get this long plan. I really want Lindsay to call me next week and go, take down the episode. I can't create the plans quick enough. That's how many thousands of plans. You have to have a plan. I mean, there's cliches out there, that are older than Lindsay and I put together. If you don't have a plan, you plan. No plan, you plan to fail. Fail to plan to fail. You can't hit a target that you can't see. These are all cliches, but they're true. They're time-proven truths. And if you're not dealing with this plan, I'd have to say in your 50s, even then that's a little late, then you're hurting yourself and you're hurting your children. Because people don't realize the majority of caretakers in this country, it starts with the children.
Yeah, absolutely it does. And I know sometimes it's hard to talk about aging, and it's hard to talk about what we want when we're older. And how I would really frame it to elders or to be older adults is that, you have an opportunity, if you do this ahead of time, to be part of what your decision making is. You can understand your plan. You can be part of your choices. If you wait too long, that's when you're losing autonomy. That's when your kids are going to jump in and make a decision for you because nothing was laid out when they felt you were capable of helping in some cases, right? So
That's right.
having a plan, the nicest thing is with LT Care Nav is because it's free, you can come every month or every few months and update your plan. It is a
That's right.
living document. And when things change, you can let us know things have changed and we update that, and you can make your family aware of these things. So really, as you go forward, you're making wise decisions at every step and never deciding during crisis.
Yeah, well, a decision during crisis, well, of course, regarding healthcare is the worst. But actually, any decision during crisis, what you're going to wear that day, what you're going to eat for dinner, no decision during crisis is ever the right decision. And you brought up something that nobody else actually has on the show, which is not only planning in advance makes sense, is that the younger you do it, the more involved you are in the plan, because it's got to hurt. I mean, I'm at that age, but I'm not mentally feeble enough yet where anybody's got to make my decisions. I don't think I'll be that feeble yet, Anthony, for another 3, maybe 4 months. But it's hard to have other people make your decisions. You know you're aging. You know you're forgetting things. You're having senior moments a little more than you want to admit. But when you start losing control of what's happening around you, even in those little ways, that cuts down your life. I'm sorry, it has to. It cuts down your zest to live. So I love that idea of doing it. I think you're the first person that's ever brought that up. Doing it while you have some control over the plan.
Yeah, and it gives you the ability to communicate with your family. We actually offer we're going to offer a free ebook for your listeners,
Mm-hmm.
where we can even help start with those conversations. And what does that look like and how you can do it step by step, and we help you walk through that. But that's my biggest thing when people are like, well, I don't like talking about that. You'll like it less when somebody's like, this is what I'm doing for you. Sorry,
Yes. Oh
this is
my
how
God.
it's
Yes.
happening, right? It'll feel more of an attack. Whereas if you have really rational decisions about, if this happens to me, what does this look like? But if this happens, this is what I understand is gonna be the result. And those conversations also make it so not only do you have control, but you're gonna leave your children in a better place, because sometimes these decisions are hard and nobody wants
You're
to
very
take your
hard.
car keys, right? Nobody wants to do the things to take your independence. right? And you and I've talked a lot about how your dad felt.
Yeah.
And being able to say that clearly, like, you're really going to also make it easier on your kids as they decide to do one thing or another, that they don't have guilt if you've talked about it before and you've said, this is okay.
You know, again, I've brought on some of the best long-term care insurance people in the country onto the show, and we all agree. I mean, if you ask an expert, between 5 and 7% of this nation has long-term care insurance. That's absurd. And why don't the other 93 to 95% have it? You could say affordability, but that's not true. It's not as expensive as people think. It is because it's the hardest topic to talk about. I remember when my mom died and my dad and I were in the funeral home, and very rough. They were married 54 years. And when we were all done picking things out, the funeral director, looked at me and said, would you like to arrange and pay for your dad's funeral? And I want to tell you my dad's reaction. Is there something wrong that I don't know? He might have used some expletives too as well. And at first that sounded so terrible to me, to be honest with you. Why would you? And I didn't say it, but I thought to myself, why would you even bring that up? I mean, my dad's got, I hope, another 20, 30 years left in him. Unfortunately, he didn't, but he got some great time in. But you know what? I've already paid for my funeral because I know how I felt during my father's, time, and I had to arrange for this. And I don't want my kids going through that. So that was a terrible topic to me 25 years ago. But you get older, you go, no, I don't want my kids to, dad wants the brown one or the blue one, or which cape should we put that in when we bury him? It's these are very rough decisions. This is all picked out for me. And I think it's the same with long-term care insurance. There are great, great, great people out there that are looking forward to taking care of their parents. And that's wonderful. But I know, I can tell you from firsthand point of view, they don't realize what's involved. They just don't. You get a great satisfaction out of doing it, but it is a tremendous intrusion on your own life, even though you're proud to do it, on your career, on your living, how much money you make. And those are ramifications that hit you years after mom and dad have passed. So it's emotion is why nobody in this country buys long-term care insurance. I'm not going to mention his name because I don't want to embarrass somebody. He's one of the top LTC people in the country, and his closing ratio is unbelievable. You got to close people. You got to convince people because and he said, Michael, I'm going to tell you how I close more people than anybody. I said, what? He said, when the father looks at me and says, I have 2 daughters and I don't need long-term care. Thank you for the annuities. Thank you for this. You're my favorite financial planner. But long-term care, that's taken care of. I have 2 daughters, and they're the best people in the world. He said, I've actually got to a point where I've just said that's so wonderful. Let me pack up my stuff, and that's so great. And I got to tell you, you're more man than me if you're going to be able to have your daughters with you in the shower, helping you off the toilet. He said, I know this sounds terrible, Michael. It was on the show. He said, but 9 out of 10 times they go, what'd you just say? You go, what do you mean? You're going to need help in the shower, in the bathroom, when you fall down, when you are sick. And I think it's wonderful that, you're going to put your pride aside and let your daughter do that. And he says 9 out of 10 times they go, open up your briefcase and come back here. I thought they're going to take care of me. They're going to make sure I'm comfortable. Well, that's not caretaking. That's being a good daughter or a good son. Caretaking is being there next to you in the shower when you need it.
Yes. And I think that is a really good point because in general, most of the caretakers are going to be the daughters.
Yes.
Just it is how it is. And because I'm somebody who, as you could probably tell, I am a caretaker at heart.
Mm-hmm.
And these are some of the things with my parents, even. My mom has MS, so I've had to help her when she's had surgeries. And I have no problem going and showering her and helping do all that. Luckily, my dad's not needed that help because I love him so much. He is like my best friend. The idea of showering him, I know it would make him freak out, but I
That's
wouldn't
right.
even want to do that to him.
That's right.
So while I could do this with my mom, and I think people really have to think what that looks like, especially when incontinence comes to play. There's still a level of dignity I think that we all want to have at every point.
Yeah, I think I told you the full story, and I won't. And I've said it so many times on the podcast, so I won't make our viewers go through it. So I'll just bottom line it. But when I was taking care of my dad on that one night, when he finally just looked at me and said, "This has got to stop." I know we've talked about this since you're a kid, that you're going to be, my healthcare person, take care of me. But I want you taking me for Chinese food. I want to go watch the kids and cheerleading and karate lessons. I don't want you wiping my butt. I don't want you cleaning my bed. I don't want it. Get help tomorrow. And we weren't smart enough to get long-term care insurance 25 years earlier. He had everything else money could buy, but I was going to be his caretaker. So we didn't need that. That was a dumb decision on my part. And it was dumb emotionally, and it was also dumb financially. I don't care how much it would cost, and we owned a mortgage company together. We weren't millionaires, but I could write that check. But my God, we're talking 25 years ago. And to have Dad, even with his Medicare supplemental policy, with incredible benefits from the VA because of being a highly decorated POW, I was still spending about $8,000 a month. That was 25 years ago. What is that today? I mean, that's just unthinkable. Because I thought, we don't need that insurance. I'm going to take care of my dad. It was foolish and it was selfish, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And care is even more now, and in 10 years, it's going to be even more, right? So my grandma had bought a great long-term care insurance policy years and years ago, and she's passed. It's been 9 years. And because she was someone, this is my Holocaust survivor grandma, who was amazing. And she was definitely someone like, I will do this myself. These are my choices. I'm going to decide how that my end of life looks. And it was actually amazing because it really gave our family the ability to rest at night, and we were able to let them do the things we couldn't be there for. We knew we always had
That's
backup, and allow us to be there in a way that maybe made it less frustrating for us than it could have been.
which is less frustrating for them, which is the most important. I don't want to quote the statistics because I'll quote them wrong. I'll do them disservice. But the statistics on caregivers pre-deceasing, the people they're giving care to, from the stress levels, is staggering. It'll take any human being go, that's got to be a mistake. But it's very stressful to watch your mom, your dad, your grandmother, your grandfather, go downhill. And it's got an amazing effect on life. And you brought up another fact that's, again, people don't realize. Caretaker is usually the woman, and usually it's the woman that not only takes care of her mother or father, but in many times her in-laws, her husband's mother or father, or her child that has asthma or whatever it may be. And that's what great moms do. Great dads should do it too, but usually it's the moms. And the ramification on mom, which I didn't know till we started this podcast and brought on guests with this expertise, it's now 20 years later. Mom and dad are in their mid-60s. They're going to retire. Mom, this is not like my mom, who was a stay-at-home mom. Mom has a great career. Mom makes money. And it's in the mid-60s, and they look in their 401ks, and dad maybe has X, let's just pick a number, a few $100,000, and mom has half that. And she goes, well, what the hell happened here? Quite frankly, I make as much money as you. When did this happen? You were out of the workspace for 8 years while you took care of your parents and your husband's parents. You weren't contributing to your 401k. Oh my God. So there are the ramifications to your children. And it's so funny that we're saying children, because these are people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s when mom and dad are in their 80s and 90s. The ramifications to the family are staggering, and no one has figured out how to get this message across yet to the masses. You're doing as good a job as anybody as trying to figure that out. Again, I can't stress to our viewers enough. Go to www.62who knew and go to LTC Care Nav.
LT Care Nav. No, sort of right.
LTC Care Nav, and get your free report. Do it. And I didn't know it was a living, breathing report. I filled mine out. I didn't know I can go in and say, okay,
Yeah.
I just lost 30 pounds or I just gained 30 pounds or whatever. And my doctor just said, I have type 2 diabetes, or I didn't know it was a living report.
It is a living report, even down to like the state data. So we're really keeping up on what's being offered, government programs by state. We're getting ready to launch a really robust offering of what's available in your county to match you with.
Wow.
And those change. Offerings change. Medicaid changes every year. So when these things change, we're going to automatically update the plan with whatever
That's
is available.
incredible.
Are you turning 65? Well, if so, the most important decision in your life right now is to determine which Medicare plan you need to be on for your unique changes in life. Are you still working? You on your employer's plan? How about being a snowbird? If so, you need to speak to a Medicare consultant who can help you with your needs. I'm Diane Daniels, and I'm the CEO of Medicare Nation. Go to www.62whoknew.com and click on the Medicare Nation tab. I will give you a free consultation to make sure we find the right plan for your unique needs.
Today, the average funeral can cost $10,000 to $20,000, and too often families are forced to make difficult decisions at the worst moment of their lives. Final expenses create stress, debt, and heartbreak, right when your loved ones need comfort, not crisis. That's why the 62 Who Knew podcast brings you trusted guidance on final expense insurance, an affordable, compassionate way to protect your family from unexpected financial burdens. Visit 62whoknew.com and learn how a small plan today can spare your family emotional and financial pain tomorrow. That's incredible. I know I have a few of my national sponsors and regular guests that I'll be introducing to you to be on your podcast. One of our highest volume viewers, is that the right word, volume? But highest viewer podcasts is always with Diane Daniels, who is probably, if you're going to name the top 3 Medicare experts in the nation, Diane would be on the top 3 of everybody's short list. And when she comes on and talks about what's happening in Medicare, she was on in November. That at that time broke a record for us. I think we had like 5,400 views. We've since broke that. When she told us the change is coming in 2026 in Medicare, I mean, my mouth was open. I went, what? What was cut? What people 65, the services available to them, what is no longer available. One of the ones that staggered me, and we're trying to get somebody on the show, and we will, Moffitt Cancer Center, which is number 1 in the state of Florida, number 5 in the country. They backed out of Medicare. She told our viewer audience that in November, and it's a reality. The number 1 cancer center in Florida, number 4 or 5 in the country, no longer accepts Medicare. How many hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people, is that going to affect? And that includes children. It's not just old people that get cancer. But of course, the fact that they don't take Medicare, that's 65 and above. Yeah, and it's, again, what's going to happen to premiums? And premiums are based on longevity. What's going to happen to your premium when they think you're going to live to 110?
It will be very interesting to see what somebody very smart comes up with, because the rate we're going economically, people are not going to be able to afford to live that long. And it's going to go beyond long-term care. It's going to go beyond healthcare.
Yes.
Yes. I'm not sure. I hope there's some very, very smart people who really deeply care that are trying to address this problem across the entire ecosystem of what a financial life looks like.
I hope so too, because, planning to be 90 is unbelievably difficult for 95, probably 98% of America. Planning to be 100 or 110. Now, of course, if we're healthier, maybe we will be working a cool job at 70, 75, or 80. Maybe you're still really just planning for 20 years. We'll just be working longer. I don't know. I think you put it perfectly. I hope there's some really smart people out there that care. And
That care.
sometimes I think in this crummy world we live in, I hate to say that, but I'm saying it, there's a shortage sometimes of people that care. But be that as it may, yeah, somebody's got to figure this out, because the ramifications, I don't think 62 Who Knew has even touched on the ramifications yet of longer lifespans. There's already a shortage of doctors. There's already a shortage of healthcare workers. There's a shortage of senior housing. What's going to be the shortage when people are living 20 years longer? How about food? You know, there's a good portion of this planet that is starving right now. How big is that segment going to get when there's not enough food to feed the people? And it's truly, it's staggering. So there better be some smart people out there.
Yeah, I hope so, because I think you're doing a brilliant job addressing what you're doing, and I hope that LT CareNav really kind of plays into helping folks as well.
It will.
But the problem as a whole is much larger, and
Yeah.
where that falls as of right now, I think really telling people be as prepared as you can,
Yes.
and hopefully somebody's working on this.
Yes, hopefully somebody smarter than me is working on this. As you can tell, Lindsay and I are the president of each other's fan clubs. So, if you want to join, there's memberships. There's little buttons we send you. It's a whole new thing.
And you did send me a button.
I'll send you a button with a Superman S on it. Thank you for being here. This is your first time of many, because I want you to come on when we have panel shows, when I bring on long-term care insurance experts. In fact, many of your experts, please invite them on the show. I want
Absolutely.
you to be here with Diane Daniels, talking about Medicare, talking about everything that your report brings forward. And again, I know you have 150 plus people that trust you, and that's what's created the model, as you said, to let you do this for free. Please feel free to invite them on with you. Let's do panel shows. Let's educate. And I think I might have said this to you in our conversations. I don't know if I've ever said it on a podcast. I probably have. Remind me if I haven't. People always say education, is power. Knowledge is power. And I learned just a couple of years ago that that's a bunch of crap. Knowledge is not power. Knowledge is the beginning of power. It's the action that you take with that knowledge. That's the power. There's so many people out there with knowledge living on a park bench and nowhere to sleep and no plan for there's people out there that are living great lives and have no plan in effect for later in life. They have the knowledge, but they didn't act on it. And for our audience, I don't want you to think I came up with that beautiful wisdom that knowledge is not power. That's right out of Tony Robbins' book, my favorite person. But it's the truth. We're going to give you the knowledge. Lindsay's going to give you the knowledge in that report. But if you don't act on it, shame on you. It's just that simple. Thank you. You want to add anything? Say goodbye, say hello.
Well, probably
Anybody?
goodbye would be more appropriate than hello
Yes.
at this point.
Yes.
Right?
All right.
So I'll say
You-
goodbye. And just remember, you can go to, I'm guessing you're going to put the link below so I can give you away a free ebook. And then we didn't really talk about it, but I have that other company called CareBloom.com.
Talk about it. We're at 42 minutes and go, baby, go.
Oh, it's a caregiver support tool. It makes for family caregivers, when that is where you're at, we make it so much easier to care for your loved ones at home. And you can look at carebloom.com. But on the link that you'll provide for everybody, we're actually giving away 25% off the monthly fee. And there's no actual hardware fee for it. So 25% off each month. So there will be that coupon for your listeners and the free ebook. And then, create plans on 62 Who Knew through LT CareNav.
Oh, my God. Well, CareBloom sounds like something that the majority of the country needs.
Yeah, it's a great
everybody's
tool.
thinking that. I start taking care of mom next week. What do I do? We're not trained for this.
It's not. And it actually allows your loved one to have independence longer, stay in their home longer. It's really about aging in place for as long as you can and giving you the tools to do that.
All right. I'm glad you brought that up. Anything else you want to bring up? Anthony will stay here all day. It's no problem. Oh, Anthony just buzzed me.
No.
I guess Anthony's not going to stay here all day. Oh, my God. Okay, fine. That's
Well,
why
you'll
you get
have
the
to
big
bring me.
bucks.
Yeah, you'll bring me back and we'll talk about it more another time.
You're going to be back. There you go. She's going to be back. The crowd goes wild. There we go. You're going to be back in March for sure. I want you on a couple of our panel shows, and I want you to bring some of your experts with you.
Absolutely. That would be awesome.
All right. You have an Absolutely wonderful rest of the day. And
You
as
too.
always, it's a pleasure. And thank you to our ever-growing audience. Remember to go to www.62whoknew.com to solve all your problems in life. Every one of them. That might be a slight overreaction, but it's damn close. Have a good week.